Hello guys, in this video we are going to see about the main differences between STD thread and STD async. So in the previous videos we have seen about what is a thread and what is async function in C++. So we will go through the differences between them. So STD thread will we need to pass the any callable object as parameter. So it will create a new thread and it will run that callable object in that separate thread only. Okay, so that is thread. Whereas in async also we need to provide the callable object which need to be run, but here it will provide three launch policies. One is async, one is deferred, and another one is default. If we don't give any policy, then it will be default. So if we give async, it will create a separate thread and it will run. Whereas if we give deferred, it will run in the same thread. And if we don't give anything, during runtime, the CPU itself will check whether if any core is available or free, then it will create a separate thread and it will run. There is no all the cores are busy, then it will run in the same time. So in async, user can provide how it need to be run, or we can provide CPU itself decide whether it need to be run synchronously or synchronously. So both are same only, both are running a callable object, but in thread mandatorily a thread will be created, but in async user can provide the policy, launch policy. So in thread we cannot retrieve the return value. By default there is no mechanism, so we need to either use promise future or packaged task to get the results or to get any values from other thread. So in async it is not like that. In async itself will the return value of async itself a future. So in future itself the value will be set. Once the callable object is done, the return value will be set in the shared object and can be accessed using the future which async is returning. So by default, this async will provide return type, which where the result can be fetched. This is the second difference. Then in thread we need to either join or detach manually, but in async it is not needed. It is internally if a new thread is created, it's internally the thread management is internally done by async. And exception also, if in thread if we encounter any exception, then it need to be handled there itself in the thread itself, or we need to retrieve it using promise. We need to set the exception promise and we need to retrieve it using future. Whereas in async, if any exception happens, it is automatically it can be retrieved using future.get. Okay, so these are the main differences between thread and async. So thread is mandatory to create new thread. In async, it's not like that. User can decide how it need to be run. Then the communication, there is no default communication between the thread which is creating a new thread, whereas in async we have return type as feature where we will get the return value. So that is the second difference. And the other difference is thread management is manually we need to do thread management Either we need to join or detach when we use thread. In async it is automatically internally handled. So exception also, it is we need to handle it, manually handle it using future promise, and here it rejected in future. So these are main differences. Thank you guys.